Like the chief says, this was a trap set by someone who obviously doesn't want Section 9 sniffing around.
And this mysterious someone is apparently able to start up tanks and send up gigabachis. Quite a skill.
The only ones able to do that are in the military.
Has Kusumoto explained it?
Yes, I received a reply from him. He said that he's unable to take my call because it's a day before the ceremony.
So, do you suppose we're correct in thinking that the Senninkai equals the 27th Division?
Yeah, all the more so considering that the name Senninkai comes from the name of General Michiba's personal study group.
Kanbei said that there was suspicion of a diversion of weapons going on between Chiri and the 27th Division, right?
That's right.
And don't forget, Chiri had a disc in his possession that he distributed to the members of the Senninkai. If you take this into account, it becomes perfectly clear that Chiri was either a Senninkai member or he was closely connected to them. However, something tells me that it's too much of a coincidence that they were involved in a weapons diversion scheme with the 27th Division.
Or what about this? It's also possible they've been arranging weapons diversions under the guise of Michiba's personal study group ever since he was here 20 years ago. Don't you think that probably has something to do with why Kanbei's been hot on the trail of this little matter?
That's one theory. On the other hand, according to military intelligence, they haven't conclusively proved that any weapons have even been diverted.
What do you mean?
They've investigated the inner workings of the 27th Division for years. Even if there was improper activity, they'd never spot discrepancies between the number of weapons that the books show had been allocated to the division and those they actually had. That would prove that weapons were being diverted.
So you're saying that the numbers matched up?
On the contrary, they have more. Regulations say that weapons and ammunition past their service lifespan are to be collected by the proper company reps and disposed of. But Kusumoto put off their disposal, calling it saving for a rainy day.
But couldn't he be using that to cover the diverted weapons?
Military intelligence thought the same thing, but when they did an unannounced investigation, they were able to account for all weapons and ammunition.
Two choices. Either the weapons were being diverted in the first place, or they beat military intelligence to the punch.
I can't say one way or the other.
Assuming for the moment that the Senninkai is an organization that's been using the Yakuza as a relay point to divert weapons for years, how do you intend to tie in the Hiruma assassination?
Good question.
But there's one other thing that's got me worried. Those think tank parts we discovered in the containers.
While I was doing some research, I dove Kinbishi, the company that developed the Tachikomas, and turned up something interesting. Apparently, there was a prototype for the Tachikoma.
What do you mean, a prototype? Nobody told me about that.
You're saying that the components for this prototype are the think tank parts we pulled out of those containers?
Yeah, but there's no way to be sure. According to an engineer who was involved in the development of it, the prototype didn't get green-lighted. In fact, it was supposed to have been scrapped.
Supposed to? They're not sure?
I tried to get confirmation from a scientist by the name of Sakata, who was in charge of the disposal. But unfortunately, he's been missing ever since he resigned for personal reasons. By the way, this Sakata guy was also involved in the development of the Tachikoma's bio-AI chips.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You mean there's a chance that this man Sakata ran off with the prototype Tachikoma instead of scrapping it?
Well, for lack of a better explanation, that's the most plausible one I can come up with at the moment. Oh, and get this. The day that Sakata resigned was the day after Michiba was arrested. There's no way to tell if it's merely a coincidence or not.
Alright, for the sake of argument, let's assume that the black Tachikoma and the think tank parts we got from the containers were embezzled by that Sakata guy. That doesn't explain why the prototype was working with that little girl, the one who tried to assassinate Hiroma with the anti-material rifle. And why did it help a Yakuza like Chiri?
And a little girl who can wave that cannon of a gun around like it was nothing is a mystery all on her own.
I guess we hit a dead end. We've got plenty of dots on the paper, but I don't see any hint of a line to connect them all and form a picture of what's going on.
We still haven't discovered the one common thread that links them to the assassination of former cabinet minister Hiruma. But it's clear that the ideological keywords, Michiba and Senninkai, have a significant connection to the incident. We just need to find the key to this puzzle. At any rate, I'm sure it's a safe bet to assume that the 27th Division is connected in some way to the entire string of incidents.
I agree with you on that count. And here's something else. Do you remember the words, Shisamu has come again, Uko Charanke is out of the question?
Yeah, they're words in the ultra-high-frequency conversation that the Tachikoma overheard.
I wanted to find out what those meant, so I went back through their memories. It turns out that these are old words which have been handed down in this region. Uko Charanke means discussion. Shisamu means person from Honshu. In other words, people from Honshu have come. Discussion is out of the question.
In other words, they're feeling pretty gung-ho.
Our primary objective on this assignment is to prevent the assassination of former Cabinet Minister Hiruma. In order to accomplish that, we first need to uncover anything having to do with the 27th Division.
So what's the plan? I ask even though I think I know what you're going to say.
Isn't it obvious? We're gonna take it to the military.
The time has arrived. We're about to infiltrate the 27th Division's base. Comrades, are you ready?
Okay with me, but what are we gonna do there again?
We're gonna do an undercover investigation, of course.
Do you think we're bringing too many weapons for an infiltration mission? We might get into trouble with the Major.
Silence, cowards! Can you call yourself think tanks? We're about to step into the field of battle. Follow me into the depths of hell and redeem your honor.
Cool speech!
Isn't it though? What lies before us is a crucial situation in which our values will be put to the test. Comrades, don't count on coming back alive.
Fight till there's no life left in ya! No mercy, let's rumble! We're gonna show them our tank spirit! Yeah!
Our plan is laid out. We will infiltrate the headquarters of the 5th Army's 27th Division. What are they up to using the Seninkai as a cover? We need evidence that can be used against them. Bring back something that'll be instrumental in their incrimination.
Something like what?
Anything.
Time is of the essence. We don't have any to spare. The parade is set to begin in approximately 15 hours. In order to make certain that this infiltration is successful, we will need to carry out our various assigned duties concurrently. Each of us will be assigned a separate task within the mission. Just remember, be careful out there.
A solo assault without backup, huh?
We're up against soldiers. That'll make you feel better about pulling the trigger, right?
Oh man, this is one heartless job.
Still, it's hard to believe that we're using time bombs in this day and age.
Radio signals are jammed in the area around the security system terminals, so I'm assuming that they are protected by a super A-class barrier. I've concluded that a time bomb model would be most effective.
Well, what if we link them with wire to do a simultaneous detonation?
And drag around hundreds of meters of wire? Now quit your chattering and get moving.
In the event that one of the explosive devices is a dud, how should we proceed? I think the most effective thing to do would be for us to retouch comas to access the security system simultaneously.
defense system has been disengaged. Return at once and remain on standby until I have your next mission plan ready.